Okay, I'm gonna just kind of start, and then we'll do that if you don't
Yeah.
mind. Could you give me your full name?
Walter Paul Godwin.
All right, and where and when were you born?
I was born in a little log cabin,
I'm sorry.
Route 1, Whigham, Georgia.
You were, and who were your parents?
John Stephen Godwin and Mamie E. Godwin.
How,
Mamie E.P. Ponder Godwin.
how many people were in your family? How many brothers and
I had
sisters did
4
you have?
brothers and 1 sister.
Could you tell me their names?
The oldest one was John L. and Samuel and Don and Mary, the girl, Mary E. Mary Elizabeth, and Arthur Stephen, and myself. I was the youngest.
You were the youngest of all of them. Where did you attend school?
Started out at a little school called Baypole, and from there they combined Baypole with Pawnee and finished grammar school at Pawnee. From there to Whigham and finished the high school in Whigham.
How old were you in World War II when Pearl Harbor was bombed?
I think about 13.
When Pearl Harbor was bombed?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
13 or 14. 14.
How old were you then when you enlisted?
18.
You were 18. So what year did you enlist?
In January of 45.
Oh, January of 45. Okay, and
Had 7 weeks of basic training at Great Lakes, Illinois, and then a 7-day leave, and from there, I reckon as soon as I could get to Okinawa, they put me over there.
okay, so where did you go to basic training?
Great Lakes, Illinois.
Great Lakes, Illinois. And you were in what branch of the service?
Navy.
Okay, and you were immediately assigned to the Hornet after basic training?
I assume I was. Now, I never did see the orders of where I was going, but they sent me out from Treasure Island and over to San Francisco
Uh-huh.
on a transport, on a troop ship. And from there, we went to Pearl Harbor and to a little island over there in the Pacific, Eulythia. From there, I was transferred to a tanker, and the tanker carried me to the Hornet where they refueled the Hornet. While they were refueling it, they put me in a canvas bag and drew me across from one ship to the other.
Really? How many men did they do that to?
I think it was about 20 or 25.
Really? How long did it take you to get from San Francisco to the Hornet? How much time did that take?
I don't think about 12 days.
12 days? And was it a fairly crowded ship? On the way over there? Or not?
Well, all troop ships I would think are.
Okay. Do you remember any particular thing about being on the troop ship?
Well, just before I got to the Hornet, President Roosevelt died.
Oh, really? So how did that affect morale, or do you remember?
Well, we were saddened, but we knew we wasn't through with the job that we were assigned to do.
All right. And what exactly, I know it's different for the different branches of the service, but what was your rank and what was your job? What was the duties that you had on board the USS Hornet?
A deckhand, you might call it, I reckon.
Okay. Swabbing those
I was
decks.
assigned to the 40 millimeter gunnery department.
Mm-hmm.
And you had the twin 40 millimeter gun turret. 2 of them. I don't know how many was on the ship, but I was on the starboard side. No, the port side. Port is left, isn't it? Starboard's right.
Mm-hmm. I think.
Looking from the back, then I was on the port side at the back of the island, which is the mast.
And what kind of ship was this?
This was a CV number 12.
And it
aircraft carrier.
Aircraft carrier.
We normally carried from 95 to 105 planes, fighter planes on it. That was
Okay.
the battle-ready amount that we had to engage in battle.
And you said fighter planes? And,
Bombers and
oh, okay. How about what size? I mean, these were different size airplanes, or were they all about the same size?
most of them was about the same size, but you had the uh, torpedo bombers, you had the regular bombers then, and which carried different sizes. There was one instance I was reading about it here that they got to when it first started, they didn't drop all the bombs, if they didn't have a target.
Oh, right.
And one came in on the ship, and one of the bombs got loose on the ship, and it killed some. So they made a ruling then to get rid of them bombs before they come back.
Right. So they would just dump them in the sea if they didn't use them on a target, or
Well,
what?
they try to get something,
Yeah.
and I suppose that if they couldn't, they got permission to land with it if it came on in.
Okay. And about how did planes come in and out all day long and all night long, or how often?
Well, the radar would show you when the enemy was approaching,
Okay.
and if they needed to be intercepted, then you'd send planes out to intercept it.
Okay. And what was the range of the radar at that time?
I don't really know.
Okay.
I assume that it's probably about 40, 50 miles.
Okay. And so you were prepared any time and were you were on one of these guns that would try and shoot down the enemy planes coming in?
Well, we woke up every morning when the Battle of Okinawa was going on. We were manning our guns as the light broke of day.
Uh-huh.
And there'd been a lot of suicide planes that had come in, and you never know when one was going to get through, and you were supposed to be ready if it did. We would launch planes off every morning or shoot guns onto the shore to help in the conquering of the island.
Okay. How far offshore from Okinawa were you, and where, and on what side?
It was inside of the island
Okay.
every morning when we woke up.
Okay. All right. So approximately what date was this now, the Battle of Okinawa? Do you remember?
It was in April and May, mostly,
Of 1945.
of 1945.
Okay. And so did the planes from your ship make the initial attack on Okinawa, or was Okinawa was occupied by who at this time? Were you protecting it, or were you defending it, or were
We
you
were conquering it.
you were trying to conquer it?
That is supposed, I didn't know it until I read it in some of these books, but it was a part of Japan.
Right. So
And we were bumming Japan, and you didn't stay in one spot.
mm-hmm.
That you couldn't do that because the enemy could find out what to do.
Right.
And you was on the move from one spot to another. You might bum Japan, Kyushu. I remember Tokyo Rose. She'd come in on the radio about every day,
Uh-huh.
telling us how we was getting whipped.
Right.
And we'd have a good laugh off of that. But that we thought we was the one winning the war.
Right.
But she would come in and say how much damage they were doing,
Right.
and how much and things can play tricks on you sometimes. It makes you wonder, if you're not in the real know,
Right.
are they really telling me the truth that
Right.
we're winning,
Right.
or are they doing better than we think they are?
Right.
But to be able to come to their shore without being knocked out in the water as close as we were, like when Doolittle went in, they launched their planes way before they got to the island, to Japan.
Okay. When did that happen?
That was in 42, I believe it was.
And so
That was the first Hornet, he flew off.
So there were 2 Hornets.
That one, in another battle, not when Doolittle flew it. It didn't get sunk then. It got back to Hawaii and got the supplies, resupplied and everything, and went back. And in another battle out there, that they were hit severe enough. I always thought the Japs sunk it, but we sunk the ship.
You sunk the Hornet? The first Hornet?
The first Hornet that we sank, yeah.
How did that
To keep
happen?
the enemy from getting on top.
I
That
see.
it was dead in the water. It could have been, if they would have, it was close enough to their island that we didn't have control of those waters, that they could have probably patched it up and reused it.
Oh, I see.
So
Now, how many aircraft carriers, or do you know about how many aircraft carriers the Japanese had? Did they have very many?
at one time they had more than we did.
Okay.
That when they hit Hawaii
Mhm.
in December 7th of 41, they just about destroyed our Navy. And had they known how much damage they had done to us, I believe they would have landed in California and started the beachhead over there and tried to march across the state before we could got the pass. But they didn't know the extent of damage they did, or they would have, I guess. And another thing, I'm reading in this book here of what it wasn't what we did. At 95% of the successes, you can this person says we can attribute that to God.
Right.
That if He's on your side, you can't lose.
Right. And I think most of Americans felt that way at the time, and still.
Well, that was a war that the American people were behind.
Right.
To the extent that they sacrificed, they worked overtime, and produced enough war goods to go in and do what the job needed to be done.
Right.
But I remember when we come back from the war over there, one thing that stuck out in my mind is they had a big sign on the mountain there about where you cross the Golden Gate Bridge, or just before it one, well done.
And that was the first thing you saw, probably.
That made you feel good.
Yeah.
That the job was over. Well, it wasn't over when I first come in, because when the typhoon tore us up, we didn't know we was coming back to the United States until about a week later. That we had launched planes off of the ship to search and see how much damage was done to other ships, and see if there's something that could be done, if any rescue need to be taking place. And the ship, the first planes that they launched off the bow was tore up to the extent the air current, I think, got playing tricks on them, and it went in the brink. And then they says, we're going to have to change what we're doing. And they stopped dead in the water and started backing up, but they couldn't get but 18 knots out of the ship backing up, and launched planes off the back to for the rescue and search and rescue. But I think that we did. I didn't see the plane go in the brink. They said that it wasn't a successful launch on the first planes that went off, that they decided that they didn't need to do that. But I think they did get to where they figured out a way they could fly off of that from. But see, you're supposed to have about 30 knots of a wind under that wing from the ship to add to your lift to get off. And you just couldn't get fast enough to backing up.
So if I understand, because the ship wasn't as long as it had been, they had the planes back up more so that they could have more room, but it still wasn't enough. Is that right?
Well, I think the air current coming over the bow up there was playing some motion, you know,
Right.
on it, making it, as it hit the plane, when the plane went off, it wasn't a steady airflow.
Okay. because it was rugged anyhow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now you were off of Okinawa during the Battle of Okinawa, and planes were coming off the Hornet and bombing Japan and Okinawa.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so some of the planes were going on up to Japan and
Well,
bombing
we'd
them.
change our location and get closer to Japan. We at times we were 60 miles off of Japan.
Oh, really? And so, about what time was this? What year? I mean, what month was this? Because this was all 1945, right?
Mm-hmm. That was in April and May that we left them over there around the middle of June, coming back to the States. We pulled into the Philippines, and that's when it was announced that we was coming home.
Okay. So, what do you remember specifically about the Battle of Okinawa?
It was the hardest battle to win of any of them. Each island that they were getting closer to the mainland of Japan was getting harder to, there was more resistance. It's harder to conquer. That little island of Okinawa, it wasn't very big, but it was the bloodiest battle of any in the war, I think.
And so you never really left the ship, right?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So did you even fire on Okinawa then from the ship?
Mm-mm.
You didn't. Only planes went off from your ship.
Well, it would have to be bigger guns than a 40 millimeter.
Okay. What's
The
the range?
5-inch, I think, fired on it.
Okay, so some guns did from your ship. Did you shoot down any Japanese planes that you remember?
No.
And were there any Kazikami planes that came in on the Hornet?
There was one.
There was.
He missed, though.
Oh, okay, good.
And we got a picture in here where he's in sick bay. They picked him up.
Oh, really?
It didn't kill him.
He was probably luckier than most then, wasn't he?
Well, how can you train a person's mind
I don't know.
to be ready to die, and knowing you gonna pay that price if you hit what you're supposed to hit?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. And then they rescue you and feed you and take care of you. I wonder if he's still alive.
Probably not.
I don't know.
You know, there's not probably not half of the World War II veterans alive now.
Right. It'd be interesting to know. You don't know what his name was or anything?
It may be in here. I don't know.
That'd be kind of interesting to see what
It
his...
shows him all bandaged up and on a stretcher.
And how long did he stay there then? Do you know?
I don't know.
Okay. He wasn't brought back to San Francisco.
Mm-mm. Well, the ready crew of that ship, which that's not all that many now, but the combat ready crew amounted to about 3,300 people.
So there were 3,300 on the Hornet.
So you never did know all of them.
Oh, yeah. And what was life like? What was daily life like on the...
Well, they had a soda fountain and all that on it. It wasn't all that bad so far if you got resupplied, you know, and they got ice cream and stuff like that. It wasn't as bad as I think a land infantryman would have.
Because I know the infantry would much rather have C rations than K rations, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why is that so?
I don't know. It must taste better.
All right. You were talking about the commanding officers that you had. Who was the commanding officer of the Hornet?
Well, there was several on there that I think Brown and Clark. But while we was out there, I'm in my mind, I want to think that Bull Halsey, which he was the commander of the 58th Fleet, 58th Task Force out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to think that he went from ship to ship. He didn't stay on one certain one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I may be wrong on that, but that was kind of the feeling that I got, that when you don't know what you're talking about and don't know what's going on, you have to take a lot of what somebody else says as this is it.
Right. And they don't make announcements when there are changes and things like that. And so, totally, how long were you on the Hornet?
Oh, about 15 months.
15 months. And you were there when the war ended, or you had to come back before the war ended, you said?
When the war ended, I was at home on a 30-day leave.
How nice. And did you have to go back then? Where'd you go back to?
Went back to the ship that was being re-overhauled and resupplied. I think the guns were being taken off before this this pamphlet that I got here that
I'm sorry.
That shows the and by the way, you know what today is?
What is today?
Navy Day.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, golly, I didn't know that. Oh, I wish I would have known that.
45 years ago today, the ship moved from San Francisco down to Monterey, and we spent Navy Day down there.
Oh, really? November 2nd, 1945, the Hornet. I don't know if I can get that. But now, what is its function now? What is the function of the Hornet now?
It's a national museum over at Naval Air Station in Alameda, California.
Alameda, California. I think you told me that before, but the camera wasn't on. How do you feel about the time you spent in the military?
It was an experience.
Did you see anyone else from, Georgia, or did you ever run into?
Oh yeah, there was a man on my gun turret that didn't live 10 miles from me.
Did you know him before?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. Did you ever have contact with him afterwards, or?
Yeah, he's dead now.
But is he from Cairo?
No, he's from over around Vader.
Oh, okay. You said you went to the reunion.
Well, it was the dedication. I'm
sorry.
Of the recommissioning of the museum and what have you.
And how many people attended, do you know?
There was a good many, but not all of them were people that served on the Hornet. A lot of them were there just for the dedication.
Right. Were you given special recognition as having served on the Hornet?
No, but on the hangar deck, my name is there as a contributor to the starting of the museum.
Okay.
That you send a donation this before, and we had a time getting it set aside as a museum. It was put up to be cut up from scrap iron and stayed in that category for a number of years. And we got it, it was up at Bremerton, Washington, and got it towed down to Hunters Point in San Francisco, and then managed to get it towed across the bay over there to Alameda Point. And we was in possession of it then. They cut them up over there at Hunters Point. And the only reason it didn't get cut up is it was too far back in line.
So when you say we, do you mean the men who served on it? How did you get this to be preserved?
Well, I guess it had to go through Washington.
Okay.
And somebody knew somebody that could get something done. Okay. And people started. We had to put up so much money to get the permission to even get it set aside. And then they started raising money, and we got enough money then that they recognized that they didn't want it to be a financial burden on the government. So as it's set up now, it's supposed to be self-supporting.
So the people who visit it are the ones whose money is used to support it. Is there anything else that can you remember nights that you were in bad weather, or anything strange that happened, or anything that you can relate to us? Any particular, maybe something funny that happened, or
Well, it wasn't all that funny.
I know.
The night of the typhoon.
Okay. And when was this about, time-wise?
Probably about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. That my sleeping quarters was under the flight deck, between this opening here, that wall that was there, and the anchor holes that the anchor dropped down through. If you got in bad weather, water would come up through them anchor holes and go back and hit that bulkhead right side of my head. And you could tell when the weather got bad that it started pounding that bulkhead side of your head. Well, that morning about 4 o'clock, they knew they was going into bad weather. So they came up there and got all of us out of that compartment and carried us down below the hangar deck to the mess hall. And that's where we were locked up while the storm went on.
So it was almost as if was it an interior room?
Well, that's where all the people eat, you know.
Yeah, but it was interior. I mean, there weren't any windows in it.
Oh, no.
So that's probably why.
And all the doors was locked, you know, to make the ship tighter. And if the water got in part of it and part of it didn't, it would seal off compartments that couldn't get flooded.
Right. How far out at sea were you when this happened? Do you know?
I think we was about 60 miles off of Okinawa there.
Okinawa.
That's what I read in one of these magazines, or one of these books that I've got, that we had winds of 120 knots, which was about 135 miles an hour. And the ship was lifted completely out of the water at the bow, and when it come back down, that's when it tore that flight deck.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, how long did this last? How long were you in the mess hall?
Well, the captain come on about 9 o'clock that morning and told us that we had sustained some damage, and we were in the eye of it then, and we wasn't through yet.
Right, you're halfway through.
So the power was cut to where you was more or less just bobbling up and down in the water, not no speed to try to interfere with it, but you tried to take control of the ship to where it would be headed a certain way. Had enough power to try to keep control of the ship, and that was a pretty good job too. And a lot of those airplanes, some of them pushed over on the others, and we lost some planes in the storm.
So there was more damage done to that ship by the weather than by the enemy?
No, absolutely.
Okay.
When I went over there on the reunion, I'd read in that book, but I read it again the other day, and it said that no enemy fire ever hit that ship. But that was during that 45 days that we had such intense fighting during the Okinawan and early part of Okinawa and Okinawan fight, that we had shot down so many planes that it was unbelievable like. But in going to that reunion or the dedication, one of the people there says, well, I told him that I'd read where the ship had never been struck by enemy fire. He said, well, there was a torpedo that hit it, but it didn't explode.
Oh, really? How interesting. Because didn't America have that trouble for a while? But their torpedoes weren't, when they would strike, they weren't, what's the word called? I can't. They weren't working. I can't think of the word right now. There was something wrong with the ignition system so that it wouldn't detonate. So this one.
I think so.
So this one luckily didn't detonate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How many times did you see Japanese ships? Did you see very many Japanese ships?
No.
Really?
See, we were enclosed that we were the most protected vessel on the water. That was a destroyer escort out, and submarines was keeping that ship protected. All we had to worry about was them suicide planes.
Oh, I see. Because they could get past.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And that suicide plane that did try to hit the Hornet, he went back of the, well, I think this picture right here is a drawing, but it shows it kind of as it went by the ship.
Oh, okay, yeah. I got it. And then that was and he survived, and you all rescued him.
Well, a destroyer rescued him, but they brought him aboard our ship.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
What did they think you were going to do to him? But he really didn't do that much damage.
No, he missed the ship.
Okay.
He went over the number 2 elevator there.
And
he was aiming for the island here. That part.
Okay.
But he missed it. I reckon in the twisting and turning of the ship, he had his bearing of where he thought he was supposed to be, and the ship wasn't there when he got there.
I see. Well, maybe he decided he didn't want to die right at the end, too. And that would be okay. Okay.
I reckon the Hornet was probably one of the most decorated ships, or what it accomplished of any that was out there.
And you said you had some statistics about that?
It in one of these books, I believe it was at the back, that it had the information. No, it's not in this one. This is in this one. No.
I think it's the one you gave me. That's it?
That's it.
Okay. I don't know if I don't think it's gonna, maybe.
It's not, that don't have the scoreboard, but it has the ships and tonnage and all that it's supposed to sank.
And by scoreboard, do you mean how many people
how many airplanes that it shot down, how many was destroyed on the ground, and the tonnage of ships that it sank, damaged.
And the reason you left was because of the typhoon, the damage that it did.
That's what sent us back to the States.
So, and by that time, the Battle of Okinawa was over?
When I was home on a 30-day leave, that's when the war ended.
Okay, and Okinawa had been?
It had been sealed off by the Americans.
Okay.
And the bomb then dropped on Hiroshima and what was the other one?
Nagasaki.
But, some said they shouldn't have dropped that bomb, but I don't agree with it.
Why?
If they'd have been over there being shot at, they'd have liked for it to have been dropped too, wouldn't it?
Well, and you look even at Normandy, look at all the people who died just in one, that effort, and probably in many of the efforts at Iwo Jima, at Midway, all of these.
Well, the people that would have died, a lot of them would have been Americans if they had to invade Japan. And there were less lives that died by dropping that bomb than by not dropping it.
I know a lot of the soldiers I've talked to who were in Normandy, after they'd been through all that in the Battle of the Bulge, they were literally on ships ready to go to the Pacific to probably, they figured they were going to have to now invade Japan. And no man should have to go through all that, I don't think. That's asking too much.
And besides, they were the one that mistreated us to start with.
Did you agree with MacArthur in the peace settlement? I mean, in the fact that he didn't really punish them, or don't you have an opinion, or do you think that was the best way to handle it, not to create more problems?
Well, I don't think they give MacArthur enough leadway to do what he wanted to do. That in career, if they'd turned him loose, I think that things would have been different.
For a long time after. Yeah, but you might have been right back over there though too. Now, when you left, you weren't then called back again during the Korean War?
No.
Because you were how old when you got out?
19.
Really? Golly, look how much you did before you were even 20 years old.
Yeah, I think about my grandsons. And I wasn't nothing but a kid when I went over there. And when my grandsons now is just 18, they were not grown.
You don't even want to drive a car, yet alone get a ship.
Well, the last year I went to school, though, I drove, things was so bad here, I had to drive the school bus part of the time.
Oh, really? Oh, my heavens.
You didn't know that, did you?
I bet those kids didn't give you any trouble either. Maybe I'll do that again.
Who was the regular driver?
Sam was supposed to be the driver, and he was trying to make her crock, so I remember the school superintendent come out there one evening, and him and Papa talked about it, and I started driving it some after then, and it's a good thing the Lord was with me. I didn't have no problems. We didn't have no accident after that.
So all your brothers were in the military?
No, it was two of them that wasn't.
Oh, okay. But this gentleman was in the military? And he was in the Army, right?
I mean,
Air Force.
Air Force.
Yeah,
Army Air Corps.
They
That's
called
right.
it Army Air Corps back then.
So,
Army Air Corps, C-O-R-P-S.
I'm going to turn this.
Macon. And, Robert Scott. You know, he wrote a book, God is My Co-Pilot.
I have it.
He also is the director of the Museum of Aviation there.
In Macon?
Yeah.
I wonder if he comes speak to us.
I don't know, but it would be nice if he could, because he's a wonderful, wonderful speaker. Have you ever heard him speak?
No. He's not that far away.
No,
I could get him.
No, he's 90 now, and he flew an F-16, I think, when he was 76 years old. And up there, too, they have the museum up there. Let's see, it was in May 1995 we had our last reunion, 53rd Fighter Group, because the reunion leader died a couple of months after then. And when we were up there, we saw him. Of course, I had gone by and spoken to him several times before. And he gave a speech over in Bainbridge in April 1973 for the John Birch Society. And so they have on display up there the Blackbird bomber. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
It flew from California to Macon in 56 minutes. And you have heard of the sonic booms at 700 miles an hour?
Yeah.
You said when it passed 1,400 miles an hour, instead of just saying boom, it said boom, boom. Then when it passed 2,100 miles an hour, it said boom, boom, boom. 3 booms. So nobody knows how fast it would go. But
where is it now? Is it on display?
In the museum. It's in the museum up there.
In Macon?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Warner
that.
Robbins.
Oh, I'm going to go there this
Yeah,
weekend.
Warner Robbins Museum of Aviation.
Oh, I will be there.
And
Oh, I wish he would be there. I'm going to see if maybe I wish I'd known that, because I was there last weekend too.
was that right?
Yeah, and that's why I'm hoping. They say they have a good gift shop there, and I can get some Army Air Corps patches. That's what I'm looking for.
Well, you know, General Scott grew up in Macon.
Okay, well maybe I can meet him.
And he's past 90 now. And
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's still working up there.
Oh, golly.
And he has a wonderful record behind him. I heard somebody say that the Japanese government offered anybody $1 million to shoot him down in World War II, because he was known as a one-man Air Force. He shot down so many of the enemy. That was confirmed.
And where, I wonder what ship he was attached to. Was he on it?
He was with the Flying Tigers. He flew P-40s off the ground.
Oh, okay.
I misquoted that while ago. That Yamata was a 45,000-ton vessel. Says here, though, that this is some of the damage did in the typhoon of the planes that it messed up.
Okay.
But it says here that 67 Jap planes in a single day's operation one day.
Is that right? That's setting them out.
And this is where it says, and I spent a total of 52 days under Jap air attack without being hit by as much as a machine gun bullet.
The Battle of Midway, I guess Hornet number 1 was in that, wasn't it?
I think it was.
Well, I mean, how long did it take them to build this ship once the other one was damaged, or was this one already built and they just
It was already
decided?
in the process, and they changed the name.
Okay, I wondered because
It was supposed to have been named something else, but in honor of the other Hornet, it was changed name.
As General Scott said, when he was flying that F-16, he was up there. You see, he's written about 20 books. He said, I thought of a title for another book called The Day I Own the Skies. He said, there's a lot of days that you feel like you own the skies, and that's the day that your girl told you that she would marry you. He's the first plane he flew, he crashed, and that was on. They used to fly model airplanes off the top of a house there in Macon. And he asked the gracious lady one day if he could fly his airplane over there. She didn't know that he had gone to a holiness meeting camp and cut off enough canvas from the tent to make himself a good-sized airplane. So he got up, the boys helped to hoist it up on the top of the house, and he was hanging on to it, and he jumped off about 60 feet, about 60 feet up in the air. And he said, the woman that owned the house said, yes, but says, be careful, my Cherokee roses out there. He said he landed right in them.
sounds like something I did.
And he presumed that that's what saved his life. He said that's the only crash he ever had in over 50 years of aviation.
He was the first paraglider, huh?
Right.
Okay.
These dotted lines here indicate the route that the ships on the Task Force 58 went from September of 43 to Lady in October 1944. So as you mentioned a while ago, did they stay in one spot? No, they didn't. They roamed around pretty well.
And you said that an aircraft carrier would be traveling with
Task Force 58.
Task Force 58, and that included how many ships?
I don't know. There was several carriers in it, and battleships, destroyers, and cruisers.
Okay. And they would, what the aircraft carriers would be like in the middle, and the destroyers would what?
Destroyer escorts would be on the side.
Okay.
And also submarines out there. And you had to determine and know if it was your submarine or their submarine.
They had a convoy. Convoy didn't follow the carrier.
But in one of the battles here where the Intrepid, I believe, was hit, yeah, the Intrepid on November the 25th, 1944, off the coast of Luzon. As the plane is coming in, there it shows you almost to it, and there it shows you after it hit. And all that black stuff out there, that's anti-aircraft flag.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah. I have a student doing the Battle of Luzon. Because Mr. Davis, Easton Davis.
Easton Davis?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we went to school together. You were my classmate
Yeah,
for 1 year.
he's been real good to me. He has a lot of things. He and his brother. It's really his brother. They've saved everything. They even have money. Did you have any kind of money while you were on board ship?
We had regular money.
You had American money.
American dollars.
That I read in the book there one place where it said the money, see, after you get out to sea, it just circles, and you get paid back in that same money because it's made a circle. And it began to look reddish. And they was wondering why the money was looking red, and because these people playing dice was getting down on the deck, and the paint from the deck was bleeding off on that money.
So all that money had been gambled with, huh? Now that's not a fit environment for a little 18-year-old, is it?
No. But if you're old enough to go there and fight, but when you come back, you can't go in all them establishments that is all them bars and stuff like that. That's off limits. Back then it was, but I bet it ain't now, and it should be. But you would think that if you're old enough to go there and fight, you're old enough to do anything else.
Well, you weren't even allowed to vote then, because the voting age was 21 then.
Well, it changed shortly after then, didn't it?
It didn't change till after Vietnam, because that was the argument. If I can go fight, why can't I vote? So I don't think it changed till around Vietnam.
I don't think it. I think it's been a shorter time since they were allowed to vote after World War II than it was from the time of World War II until the time they could vote. But the talking of the money, when I was in North Africa, we had the French franc, and of course there in Italy we had the lira, and it was kind of confusing at times. But today, when you read about it, you know what the subject is about, or you're already familiar with it. You had experience with it.
Well, a lot of men we've interviewed who didn't really, they weren't really in combat, said, it was kind of the best. They got away from Cairo and they got to travel a little bit.
Dude, I want to get back to USA.
Got to see the world.
Well,
you just saw the sea, though, didn't you?
You were over there in bigger places where a lot more was going on, and when you did come back home, though, it seemed like there was nothing alive here and nothing to do.
Yeah.
Well, there wasn't too much to do it with. The gasoline was short. Automobiles were short.
The kids still feel that way. There's nothing to do in Cairo.
Well, there's one thing you can do is you get a good book and put something between your ears.
And unfortunately, kids today don't want to get a good book.
Well, I reckon this book here I'm going to put in the museum.
Oh, okay, good. That would be wonderful.
And it's got a lot of information in here, and even it's got me in here.
Where are you? Let me see you.
Those are alphabetical order, aren't they? People in there.
Okay. Wow. I think I got you. Nope. I got the wrong one. Whoa.
Over here.
I can't see. I'm trying to.
Oh,
I'm not over
looking,
there.
You're looking.
See? There you are. There you are. Okay. Great smile. 18 years old, huh? Okay, that's great.
That picture taken on the mantelpiece there at Mama's house a long time when my sister got married. It was on the mantelpiece, and I made a painting of the decorations and everything. I remember drawing this picture in that painting.
Pretty good. I'm proud of your brother, huh?
Right. They're proud of all Americans.
That's the way the flight deck in the bow was at the time I was on it.
Okay.
That there's a 40 millimeter gun turret here sticking out on the front there.
Uh-huh.
I believe they were two turrets there that had 40 millimeters that they fired from the
Your
bow.
gun was, where was the gun you?
Where mine was back here.
Mm-hmm.
They're called the Beaufort guns. B-O-R-F-O-R, Beaufort.
I don't know.
Yeah, the with the double barrel two guns. That was the Beaufort. For the 40 millimeters. How many shots did it fire a minute?
I don't know. Fast you put them in your bag.
40, I think.
It had 4 or 5 to the clip. I've got a shell there at home that we had a dance in honor of the Hornet there in San Francisco along about April of 46. And I was on the dance committee, and we taken these, we had 20s and 40 millimeter shells. Yeah, the firing mechanism was out of it, or the projector was out of it, and we polished that up, shellacked it.
Mm-hmm.
It made the 20 millimeter. It made a beautiful count holder.
Really?
And put a bigger plastic piece in the bottom to. And I got one of those 40 millimeter that we use for decoration there.
See, I'm trying to figure how to decorate, what to have for this banquet, for the centerpieces. I'm gonna turn it. But when I ordered this book, it's little paper dolls, cutout dolls, and they're they're as tall as this envelope. And I thought, well, that's what I'll do. Now, will you guys be offended if I have this cutout of? I've got Hedy Lamarr and who else? I did Rita Hayworth. I was trying to think, well, maybe I could have that and one of the soldiers kind of sitting looking up at the colors. I want it to be, military, but not too much military, because I want you to have a good time. We're going to have some swing dancers. We're going to have, I hope the Marines are coming, and my kids are going to play some music for you. And I've got some Benny Goodman and things like that.
Yeah, that sounds like living back in those days, all that.
I've got a bunch of posters just of old movies and old movie stars around the hall and things like that to decorate. I hope that'll be okay.
Oh, yes, it
Because
will.
it's like a welcome home party a little late.
Really, really nice. We appreciate your efforts.
Here is the.
Oh no, you mean I didn't have it on? Oh, I thought I had it on. I might have had it on when I shouldn't have. Okay, I got that.
And I have wondered here
Hit that menu again, because I don't think I had it on.
of recent.
And this was the menu
On Navy Day,
in
1945.
Wow.
Why don't you take that to a copy machine and have several copies made of
Yeah.
it?
I can do it for you here.
Do you have a copy machine?
I'll do it for you. I'll do it for you.
Very good. Yeah, I went by the bank and had these copies made a while ago.
It says U.S. Navy photographs are not to be republished.
Well, that was a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's a museum now. Nobody's gonna.
Right. Yeah, the danger time is long past you. But this was our Thanksgiving menu for 1941.
Oh, okay.
Dale Maberfield at Tallahassee.
And this was for
5th 3rd Fighter Group. 5th 3rd, no, 13th. We call it pursuit planes. Back then it wasn't fighter planes, it was pursuit planes. You can keep that if you wish.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I didn't mention a while ago about the scary looking, when I went aboard the Hornet,
Uh-huh.
the both ships, the angry water that was down below you, and both ships, pushing that water back and forth, it didn't look very good to be dropped in it.
Oh, yeah, that would be. Well, did you have sharks following you or anything, or did
Sharks?
you? Uh-huh.
I don't guess.
You never saw one. I'd be afraid of that.
In the what I read about the first Hornet, though, well, no, it was at Indianapolis, that the last one that they sank, that the survivors, a lot of them had to fight sharks off on that, didn't they?
Mm-hmm. And they've recently had a lot of controversy about the commander of that ship who had been, blamed for that, and they're finding out, and actually it was from a young boy who was doing a research paper in high school for a grade school, and he took it to Congress so that this man would not be considered court-martialed, and they rescinded it so that he
Well,
wouldn't.
something that had been on my mind, and I wondered that we were the only aircraft carrier that got tore up like that in the Navy, I think.
Because of the
from
weather.
And did the commander get any punishment for that ship being done that way, or was it just an act of God that they considered that it couldn't have been held?
Mm-hmm.
That I'm sure there was other aircraft carriers in that area.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess that certain wave, of course,
they couldn't predict them the way they can now, maybe.
In talking to the person out at the last year when I went to the dedication and what have you, he was up topside where he could see it. And he said every time that thing would go up, that bow would come up, he said, break off. He wanted to go home. So he figured if it would tear it up, he could get to come home for a while.
Well, there you go.
He's been over there for, a year and a half.
Uh-huh.
And, the ship had 168,000 miles on it, so it was just about due for an overhaul.
Uh-huh.
But had the war needed that ship badly enough, I think they would have tried to repair the ship just a little out there and send it back into combat.
But was it dangerous taking it that far back to the United States in that condition?
No.
Oh, okay.
Did it come back by escort for repair?
I imagine.
You weren't on it?
Mm-hmm.
You didn't see any other ships around it when y'all were sailing back to the States?
I don't remember it.
I guess it
Of course, at that time, they pretty well had the naval situation under control.
Right.
With the planes.
And they wouldn't be following you. They'd probably were defending themselves if the Japanese were.
They was trying to keep Japan from being in there. That was what they was
Really, he
building
was
up for.
busy getting that money read. That's what he was busy.
No, I didn't participate in that. But I just read it in the book that that's what had happened to the money, that it started turning reddish looking, and they couldn't figure out what was going on until they realized that the sailor was getting down on the deck, sitting down on the deck and playing with that money.
If we're going to make a web page of, or I probably am going to do it, is there any particular, we're trying to put a little story on the web page. Is that the story you'd like to put on there about that? What story would you like to put about the typhoon?
Probably.
Okay. Is there anything else, or just talk away?
I think we done covered it.
The other thing you were talking about Betty Gravel a while ago,
okay.
Al Cap of it, that used to do Little Lamb, I think he called her Betty Gravel.
Oh. Well.
No, on this when I went over there for that rededication and recommission,
right?
that all the ships in the harbor, and it sounded like across over there to San Francisco at one time, and right on time, they all went off together.
Oh, wow.
The earth must have been shaking then.
And I didn't know what was going on. They said, and some of them said, well, that was in honor of our ship Hornet.
How wonderful.
Very great, very great.
It was an impressive service.
You said that after the war, you were home when the war ended, then you had to go back to the ship, and then what happened?
We, after Navy Day, when we gave it a shakedown going down to Monterey for Navy Day, we went back up to San Francisco and taking on the supplies, go back over and start bringing the troops back that was after the war that was needed to be brought back home. And the ship made, in one article I've read, it made 5 voyages over there bringing them back. One thing that I remember on, I believe it was December the 23rd or 24th, it was just before Christmas, we left out of Seattle, Washington, to go back over. And I thought that was a bad time to be leaving.
Yeah.
To be out at sea. And that was the nearest I reckon I come of getting seasick, was the water was real rough. After we were about 3 days out, it got real rough. And I was down in a shower stall trying to clean a shower stall and repaint it. And the odor from that shower stall and everything, I like to got seasick down there with that rough water.
Well, how do they get fresh water on the ship?
They make it.
Oh, they make their own fresh water. Huh. I never thought of it. So many things I don't think.
They make their own.
Oh, okay.
You couldn't carry that much water from it.
No, that's what I just started thinking. Golly, you were out there so long and never really...
And the first time that you've been out for any length of time, before you ever set foot on land again, it's a funny feeling when you get your foot back on land. It don't feel right.
Yeah.
And walking on that ship, when the waves is bad, and you're on the bow, on the other than the middle, when that ship goes up, you feel like you weigh twice as much as you weigh. And when it goes back down, you feel like you're about floating in air.
But you get used to it? And
you get used to it.
Yeah. So, then when how long did that trip last? You went over?
I believe in March, we quit going back and we started preparing the ship for mothball.
Oh, really?
Oiling all that equipment and stuff up and sealing it up. And when I left the ship, it was supposed to have been brought to New York over here, but I don't know whether they brought it over there or not.
But you were discharged from that ship then?
I was discharged from that ship. I was discharged in California.
And got your ruptured duck. I told you I have some ruptured ducks.
Joe said that he told you not to buy none of that. They was. I had one on my uniform.
Oh, do you?
And he says, we'll get some that you don't need to be buying no ducks.
Could you give me your full name?
My full name is James Ralph Bishop. I was born December the 8th, 1925. I'm 74 years old.
74 years old. And where were you born?
Born in a town called Osceola, Florida.
Okay. And who were your... I'm sorry, go ahead.
Which is in Jefferson County.
Florida.
Florida.
And who were your parents?
My parents was Hunter Maxwell Bishop Sr., Lillian Logan Bishop.
And your brothers?
I have one brother named Hunter Maxwell Bishop Jr., they called him in Carroll Bill Bishop. Bill Bishop.
And what unit were you with in the military?
I was in a lot of places and a lot of different outfits, but I was on 2 ships. One of them I was only on the 3 days, which is the LCI, and then I was on the ATA 125 for probably about a year.
So you were in the Navy?
Yeah, I was in the Navy.
And when did you must have enlisted then?
I enlisted in the Navy in December of 1943.
And where did you enlist?
I enlisted in Tallahassee, Florida. We lived in Tallahassee at that time.
Okay. Do you remember anything about the enlistment or what prompted you to go that
Well,
particular
just
time?
everybody was going. I mean, I was 17 years old.
Uh-huh. Did you finish high school?
No,
No.
I did after the war.
Right. So you left, what high school were you attending?
I was at Florida High.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. How interesting. And so you were what year were you?
About ninth grade when I quit.
Okay. And so you went down to Tallahassee, within Tallahassee, you enlisted then. How long did it take before you left?
In those days, it wasn't very long. Probably 3 or 4 days. They got you right away. They didn't mess around. That's
Okay.
wartime.
Where did they send you?
They sent me to Jacksonville for a physical, and then after I passed that physical, they sent me to Bainbridge, Maryland.
Okay.
And then I stayed there about 2.5 months and got basic training. Then I left there and went to Little Creek, Virginia, and I was in ship service. I was selling lotions and things, shaving cream, things that soldiers, sailors use, and Marines. And then I left there. I went to sub base in New London, Connecticut for duty. I was a ship's cook in New London. I was transferred from New London to submarine training activity in Valdosta, Wisconsin in 1944. And I was a ship's cook up there till they closed the base at the end of World War II. Then I went from there back to the sub base in New London, and I was put on a ATA 125, which is a Navy seagoing tug.
Right.
At that time, we were towing different things, and we were recovering torpedoes that the submarines would fire. We'd go out and operate with submarines, and they'd fire the torpedoes. Then we'd recover the torpedoes, take them back up to the sub base, and offload them back to the submarines, and then they'd go out the next day and for their training. That's basically what we were doing there. And then we left there and went from there down to, we went up to Massachusetts. We started towing a couple of barges, and we got off of Fire Island, New York. We run into one hurricane. In those days, you didn't have the weather forecast like you have now. So we run into one hurricane there, which we lost one of the barges. One of them sunk. And we got up the next morning, it was about half under the water, and the barges were about probably a good 100 or 150 feet long, maybe 35, 40 feet wide. I was throwing this at you. I don't really remember the dates, the width and all. And then we left there, and what we did, we took the 20 millimeters and sunk that. What was left that one barge, we had 2 of them.
Now, what ship was this at the time?
This was an ATA, which is a Navy seagoing tug. We could tow anything the Navy had, including the battleship. We had to. We towed tankers. We towed just anything you name. There was the tugs were the workhorse of the Navy.
Right.
They were about the one I was on was about 149 feet long. It had 2 big diesel engines. It had one screw. It had speeds of like normally. Your top speed on that was about 14 knots, which is a knot is 1 mile and 6/10. And you had, if you had something in tow, you would tow it like 4.5 miles an hour. That's about the best way I can tell you. That's what your speed's in.
Okay. And how many men were on a
There
tug?
was a crew of 50 on this particular one.
Okay. And you specifically, what was your
I was
responsibility?
ship's cook.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I cooked 3 meals a day.
For 50.
By myself for 4 or 5, about 3 or 4 months.
And how far out? How long did you stay out?
Well, sometimes you stay out 2 or 3 weeks. Depends on where you went or what. We were mostly operating. When I got on it, it had just come back from the invasion. The invasion of Normandy.
Oh.
They come back after that. They were in the invasion of Africa. In that area. They worked in that area, and they went from there to England. And then from England, they hauled. They were up on a beach when the first invasion started. They hauled a big barge load of ammunition up there and shoved it right on top of the beach where they could offload, ammunition for the people fighting.
But you weren't on it then?
I wasn't on it at that time. I got on it when they come back to the States.
Did it have a name specifically?
No, this one did not have a name.
Okay.
The ATA was formerly they had the first name it had was ATR 47, then it changed to ATR 125 during 1944 is when that was changed.
It was originally, though, a military ship. It was
built as a military ship.
Okay.
In fact, I'm gonna give you one of the stories the guy wrote me, and he tells you about what all they did over there. He had all this in the paper. I'm gonna give you before I
Okay.
leave.
Okay.
I told 3 of them to write me what they did from the time they left the States or from the time they went Navy till they got out. And
Okay.
3 of them responded.
Oh,
Out of
great.
6 I know of.
Great. Do you have reunions at all with
We
this?
have reunions once a year.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. But we don't have just an individual ship. We have reunions of all the fleet boat tug sailors
Oh, okay.
throughout the world. We'll have sometime 300 or 400 people, sometime 150, just depends. But it's met once a year. One year it's on the West Coast, the next year it's on the East Coast. So it can be in between,
Okay.
and that's the way we do it.
But, and this is under the Department of the Navy?
No, this is
This is-
individuals.
Okay.
It's an organization
Okay.
of tugboat sailors.
Okay.
And there may be probably, I don't know, there's probably maybe 200 or 300 tugboats in this association. I mean, the crews,
Yeah.
more or less.
Uh-huh.
Let's put it that way.
And these are not just from World War II, these are from...
These are from all different ships. I mean,
Okay.
all the tugboats. See, some of these people served. I mean, you didn't only serve on tugboats, you served on other ships too.
Right.
But this particular association is like your destroyer association has people in that, and your battleships have theirs, carriers have theirs,
Okay.
and they all have reunions about once a year. Most of them do now.
Okay.
Okay.
And did you go the last time?
Where'd I go?
Uh-huh.
We were operating in Atlantic, which is from Key West out 4 or 5 days out in Atlantic, and maybe all up and down the coast is where we had to go.
Okay.
I mean, whatever.
And did you ever run into any enemy? I mean, there were rumors or so forth that the Germans had submarine. Did you ever have any encounter at all with any?
Not at the time I was on it. They did during
Okay.
World War II.
Okay.
They had, in fact, this article I got, maybe the one, if it didn't, I'll give you another one.
Uh-huh.
It tells you about a German torpedo plane dropping a torpedo and come right at them,
Uh-huh.
and it went under them and missed them. It was supposed to kill everybody.
God.
And also tells you about one of the other tugs, like ATR-1, that got destroyed. To tell you about that one too.
Okay. And then when is there any, are there any men that you remember specifically, their names that you can recall? Or?
Well, just McCarthy and Shad, and that's basically just.
Who was your command? I mean, who was the cap?
Well, we had a couple of captains. One of them was McKinney. That was one of them. He was from Boston, Massachusetts.
Uh-huh.
And we had a Lieutenant Carey. He was from Philadelphia. So these people were from everywhere.
Right. And they changed.
It changed.
Okay.
The highest rank we had was a lieutenant.
Lieutenant. Okay. And were you by yourself, or were there other tugboats that you?
Well, sometimes you operated in 2 or 3 of them. Sometimes single.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's the way it worked.
Okay. And so you were primarily in the Atlantic.
Yeah.
And for how long did you serve on this particular?
I'd say about a year.
A year?
Roughly about a year.
So approximately what year what date?
45, 46. That was the
Okay.
year I was on.
Okay. And were you on any other ship? You said you were on.
Well, I was on LCI one time back in 44. I was just on it temporarily for 3 days.
And where was that? Do you
It was
remember?
in Norfolk. We were running
Oh,
down
okay.
the beach, making landings on the beaches and things like that. We were training officers, believe it or not.
Oh, really?
That they were training them, how to load the wraps on the LCIs, and that's what it was on. And then later on, the ship left and went overseas to that invasion. This was in the early.
So you were training the officers that would later be at Normandy,
officers.
primarily?
Right. This is
Okay.
middies from Annapolis.
Uh-huh.
What's
Oh,
called.
okay.
They call them middies.
Yeah. Okay, that's pretty interesting.
But anyway, that's what they were doing. They could go out and mix with the regular Navy. I mean, they served different ships and things.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Is there anything? I mean, you were never wounded or anything like that.
No.
And what kind of medals were you given for serving?
Just American theater. I didn't have many medals.
Mm-hmm.
And that was basically about what I had, something like that.
Did you have any contact with your brother while he was in the service? Did you know what was going on with him?
Well, I didn't really have any contact with him because when he left when he was about 17 when he left before the war. And then I seen him in 1944. I think 44, yeah. I seen him when they flew him from England back to the States,
Right.
and I was at Sub Base New London. I went from there down to Mitchellfield, Long Island, where he was,
Right.
and I went to see him then.
Okay. And what'd you think?
Well, you see a guy in a body cast.
I know. He kept saying he didn't think he'd even make it from one hospital to the other. He kept having all these problems.
Well, you know, nobody knows. I mean, you just don't know. That war was it was a different war. There was so many people in it that you just wouldn't believe, and how they were involved. They had shipyards, believe it or not, down here in St. Mark's. They were building these LVP boats to run up on the beach. They built those things down there.
Really?
And Camp Gordon Johnson, which was the Carabelle, they had over 100,000 troops down there.
I know, that was a big training.
A big training base for
Yeah.
the Army.
Yeah.
And they were training for the invasion of Japan. That's
Oh,
what they
really?
trained for. Yeah.
So that was what, in 44?
42, 43, long now. They
Oh,
started
okay.
way back. These things started way ahead of time.
Yeah.
And they, like I say, everywhere they had in Tallahassee, they had an air base there. Well, I worked there when I was, a teenager, and they were building that base. And everybody just did everything they could because they knew that war was for real. I mean,
Right.
you wasn't. If we hadn't won that war, you'd be speaking either German or Japanese right now. You wouldn't be speaking English. Let's put it that way.
Right.
People don't realize it. I mean, young people don't realize it.
No.
But that's what would happen.
And then when were you, when did you leave? When were you discharged?
46.
46. And where were you discharged?
I was discharged from Jacksonville Naval Air Station.
Jackson. Did you take your discharge papers to Leon County?
Leon County, yeah.
They have them on record there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Worked in Leon County. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't realize that you had to actually take them. I thought the government did that. And
No, we did. We went down there and recorded them.
Right.
And that's what did it.
Okay.
We had a discharge from the Navy. I mean, you had a regular. They give you looked like a battleship regular discharge, Navy discharge. You ever see one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And I've seen them over on file too. Okay. I went over and looked through all of them.
See, on the back side of the thing, it's got your records.
Right.
Yeah.
Where you were, and also what medals and so
Right.
on. Is there anything else you'd like to tell them?
That's about all. I was
Okay.
When I got discharged, I was ship's cook second class, which was my rating.
Okay.
I forgot to tell you the other one.
And now, if I put this on the web page, that's what I would put. Okay, I would put your rank, ship's cook second class, and your name, and then how would your unit would be the tug, just the title of that?
Well,
How would
there would be no unit really. I mean,
Okay.
we wasn't like a big organization. We were a small outfit.
Okay.
Among the many. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
So
All
really,
right.
you couldn't just put. I was on a USS. In other words, anybody knows Navy terms will know
Right.
what that ship is. Or
Okay.
should.
Okay.
Just go that way.
Okay.
And that's about anything else you can think of to tell you.
No, and I know you're in a hurry, and I appreciate your coming in, and your son emailing us.
All right. Well, he sent that in. So.
Okay. If you do you have any pictures of you in uniform?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
Maybe
sure.
I could get that sometime.
Oh, you still interviewing me?
Well, I don't know.
I was going to look at that thing before you get through.
Okay.
Anything else you want to ask me?
I don't think so. So these were on the tugboat.
Yeah, the
Okay.
crew. That was part of the crew.
Okay.
That was during the invasion of France. So right after the invasion, that was taken.
Okay. And then who is this young man?
His name is Gala. He lives out in Orlando, Florida now. He's a retired lieutenant colonel, believe it or not.
Oh, really?
That's right.
And
he
then,
was a seaman in there.
and luckily then you didn't lose any men either, did you?
Did what?
You didn't lose any men.
No, they didn't lose any men on this crew.
Okay. And
They
who
were in
is?
combat, but they didn't get hit or anything.
Okay. And who is this man?
This guy here, his name is Shad.
Oh,
He's the other cook was on the ship with me.
Okay.
There was 3 of them on there when I got there.
Okay.
This is the pharmacy mate. His name was Doc. I can't remember his name right now.
Okay.
And this is Gayla right here.
Okay.
And this, I can't remember these other two's name. It's been so long.
And who is this down here?
He was from Mexico, New Mexico. I can't remember his name either.
All right. And then there's another gentleman. Do you remember him in the right hand?
Right here.
Uh-huh.
No, I can't remember him. No, that's Gayla. That's him.
Okay, that's
Same
what
guy.
I thought. I thought
That's
maybe.
same guy.
You know.
This is what we worked in.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what we worked in.
I can get it. There, that's a better. What kind of car is that? Where's that?
I don't know. That was up in Wisconsin
Oh,
at that
okay.
time.
Yeah. Is that while you were in the service?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. And where was she, in Tallahassee?
No, she was in Wisconsin. I married her from up there.
Oh, okay. She's okay. Say that again now.
This is the USS Midway,
Okay, and you
number 41.
and you would have.
We operated with them out in the ocean here in Norfolk.
Uh-huh.
Now, come up with this one here.
Okay.
This is myself and my father-in-law, Peter B. Powell. He was in the Merchant Marines that time.
Oh, there you are, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is one of my fellow. His name is Clifford Martin.
Uh-huh. Do you remember where he was from? It's that same
He was
car.
from New York City.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's that same car,
Yeah,
isn't
this
it?
is some of the crew I work with. And this other guy here is let me look something a second.
Okay.
This is myself, and his name was Stubby. He was from New Orleans.
Uh-huh.
Stubby just died about 2 months ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you really kept in contact with these guys?
Yeah, a lot of them I know.
Yeah. That's
From the
great.
ship, there's probably about 8 of us. Shows you want a picture of that.
Okay.
This was the
see.
swimming pool they
Ooh.
used to train us how to swim. If you didn't know,
Oh, yeah.
which I knew already, but that was one of the films that.
Now, where was this at?
Bainbridge, Maryland.
Bainbridge, Maryland.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's some more
Let me get.
training stuff.
Okay.
This I don't think is anything. Now this is just a submarine up at Subbase, New London. I don't remember which one.
Okay.
This was one of the guys on the ship,
Okay.
and I
There's.
think that's me again.
Right.
Yeah.
That's that car, too.
Yeah. Yeah, we use that car. Now this is some of the crew. One Christmas we carried a bunch of kids aboard the ship,
Oh, really?
and they took the pictures on the fantail.
Oh, yeah.
And these racks here were where we put torpedoes in.
Oh, I see.
The torpedoes long, about half as long as this room.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. So that'd be at least 20 feet?
Oh yeah, they're big. And this is me and another fella.
Okay. And you're on your,
Well,
that you?
That was me, and that's him on the left. His name
Okay.
was Lester.
Lester.
Gothria was his name. Lester Gothria.
Okay.
He was some kin to my wife's family.
Okay.
Now this is showing the launch. They were lowering the boat, the motor boat
Uh-huh.
on the. See, it has here's the
Uh-huh.
ship's number. on it.
Yeah. Okay.
And that was the boat we used when we had to go out, off away from the ship when we were anchored and so on.
Okay.
Okay, I'll see in just a second. Boy, and a big ship we were towing. You see that ship behind us? We were
Uh-huh.
put in that one.
Okay.
I don't remember what it was, but I think it was Big Standard Oil. SS Baltimore is what that was.
So you did both merchant and,
We were operated together a lot of times, depending on what you want to do. One of those hours.
okay.
I talk when you get on. This is when we were in dry dock. They were doing
This
the
one?
bottom.
Okay.
They were doing the bottom of the ship then. That's the way they do it. We're doing dry dock.
Okay.
And they were scraping the bottoms and taking the particles
Barnacles.
off the sides and
Right.
all.
Okay.
That's what they were basically doing.
Yeah,
They live next door to me.
because I've tried to get information on his father. You know, he was killed in action,
Yeah, Norman ought to be able to give you that.
but he didn't.
He didn't.
Uh-uh.
I'll call him again. Get on
Yeah.
me.
I will.
I had a good picture here. I want to show you that ship. What do I do with it? If I left it down there. No,
There
here's
it
one
is.
right here. Now, Judy did this.
Oh, she drew this for you.
She's got a signature on there.
All right.
Now, this is a lot prettier than the ship was. It didn't look that good. But
They,
this is one Judy did one time. Gave it to me one
nice.
Christmas.
Okay.
which
Good.
in detail it's amazing. Now here's the actual ship. The picture was taken from something similar to this. This is the actual ship right here you're looking at.
Okay.
The only ship they had, you got it on where you can talk?
Yeah.
The only ship they had one gun, which was a 3-inch gun. Then they had two 20 millimeters, and they had two guns for dropping depth charges. We also had radar. We had sound gear. So we could go anywhere and do about anything. So we had, from fighting aircraft, aircraft coming down on you, which they did during this invasion. They used the guns on that. But anyway, that's what I thought I'd tell you that.
Yeah, so it wasn't, it was a battleship too, in a sense.
Right. Well, I mean, they did battle, sure.
Right.
It was a combat ship. Now here's, I'm going to give you this information, but here is the menu we had in 1946, I think it was.
Oh, really?
And this is a list of all the crew members, and this is what we served them for dinner.
Oh, great. Oh, that would be great to have on there.
I'm going to show you something else. I'm showing this actually. This wasn't
That's okay.
involved with that, but this is, take a picture of this outside.
Okay,
You
I
got
got
it?
it. Thanksgiving.
Now here's the Thanksgiving meal in 1944, and it gives you information where it was and everything.
All right.
Now here are the sub crews that they were crewing up at that time to go to war. And a lot of these men did go to war.
Well.
And they left up there. This was the officers and crew members. And they were Navy would send in a few men. They'd send in these are different submarine crews here, and this is all of the crew members they had at the time this was taken. And these were the people that were assigned to us to go to the subs when they got them built.
And now what year was this?
It's 1944.
This was 44. Wow.
The guy wrote me.
Oh, okay.
This is what he wrote me on the ship.
Okay.
I mean, after he was on the ship with me. He was the other cook with me.
Oh, okay.
And this is what he wrote me. And then this is his story here, which starts, I believe it or not, in Bishopville, California. That's where
really?
he's from.
Isn't that interesting? Bishop.
But this is his story. It tells you a lot of information about what he did, which I'm going to give you this copy. You can take it with you. And then it'll have a copy of the menu and also his information.
So neat.
So that'll give you something to,
Okay.
something to go by. You can kind of read that. It's interesting what it's saying now.
Yeah.